We might as well go ahead and get to it, Chris. A heck of a Saturday in week one of the college football season. We got to go ahead and talk about the game of the day. College game day was in town. Lee
Hmm.
Corso's final pick, Chris, before riding off to the sunset. Shout out to the one great Lee Corso in delivering us some of the greatest picks and just the pageantry of college football. But yeah, overall, this was a game that, and I put it in the thumbnail, and even before Chris, we were headstrong in saying Texas was going to go into Columbus, Ohio, and defeat the Ohio State Buckeyes. That did not happen. As you can see, the
Hmm.
score, folks, 17-14 was the ending score of the game. Ohio State defeated Texas, and man, boy, were we wrong. And I will take the L. I think we got to take the L, Chris. We were
Oh yeah.
wrong, and Ohio State did what they needed to do. Ryan Day, got his team up and ready to play in this ball game. A
Hmm.
lot of stakes on the line. Got to give a shout out to Julian Saying. The guy
Hmm.
looked like he was cool and calm under center
Hmm.
for the Buckeyes. And hey, a win is a win. 14-7 doesn't seem like amazing game, of course, but overall, they did what they needed to do to get the W.
Yeah. No, no, you're right. Definitely got to give all the credit to Ohio State for making the necessary plays, whether it was on defense, getting big stops, like the goal line stand, like the fourth down stops. Those are huge in this ball game. So all the credit to Ohio State for stepping up big time. The linebackers, we heard about how fast this linebacking group is, and it was on display. Those guys were definitely flying around to the ball. So big ups to Ohio State. Uh, but I'm not gonna belabor the big story. Arch Manning, what was that? What was that, my brother? You have been sitting and waiting, QB and waiting for 2 seasons, entering your junior year. And this isn't, yes, this is your first time in a ruckus environment, playing at the shoe. First time as the quote unquote man. But you played last season. You stepped in for Quinn Ewers for a few weeks as he battled an injury. And this is the performance we get. It would be one thing if you lost but put up an admirable performance, a performance that we can sit back and respect. That was terrible football that Arch Manning played, Kory. Just to be just honest with you, the the throws were there to be made but weren't made. The continuous sidearm motion. I don't understand what that was about. I don't understand what happened, what took place. Um, for someone who is very talented and looks to be poised to be a top pick in the future NFL draft, I was left confused, befuddled when the game ended, Kory. Who was that? Was this Space Jam football? Was his powers taken from him before the game, Kory? I have no idea what we saw. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it because the quarterback play from him was that egregious. It was terrible. I'm just going to be honest with you, Kory. Just it was bad, bad.
Yeah, it was terrible. I was shocked, Chris, in seeing the amount of times that I saw the football being thrown by Arch Manning, and it looks like it was being skipped,
Yes,
on a puddle of water.
yes.
in your favorite creek somewhere in Texas. It was bad. It was really bad. I don't know why those throws were being made by Arch Manning. I don't know what he was reading at times. I mean, he threw a couple passes in double coverage. One got definitely picked off. And yeah, he just looked out of whack. It looked like he was thinking too much in the moment. He wasn't allowing his talent that we know he definitely has. He wasn't allowing himself to be himself. And I don't know, Chris. I was very disappointed in his play on Saturday. And if you're Steve Sarkisian, I know you're kind of like the quarterback whisperer. You're the offensive guru that people say that you are. This is something he has to try to get out of Arch Manning. He has to try to calm this guy down and say like, hey, it's okay to not feel like you're the hero in all of this. Of course, it's not be so hard on yourself. Try not to be so hard on yourself when out there being the quarterback of this team. And maybe he's going through that a little bit. Who knows? I know a lot of people are coming after people like Paul Feinbaum and just ESPN and all of these national pundits about the weight on Arch Manning's shoulder and being this guy that owns the Manning name. People literally put him on his pedestal and being the guy, talking about Heisman's, and we're not even there yet. We got a long way to go before we start talking about who's going to win a Heisman Trophy, who's going to win national championships. That was one of the reasons why, for me, I felt a little off in talking about the playoffs, but this is something that we also do as well, Chris. We predict sports, particularly college football. It brings a lot of excitement to the fans out there. But I think I would be remiss in saying that maybe a little bit of the noise has gotten to him a little bit, and maybe he needs to kind of settle down, be himself, in order to perform in the way that we know that he can perform. That's just my thing.
No, you're right. You're right. Definitely shouldn't put too much pressure on himself. And I don't know if that was necessarily the case. It could be. Maybe he's battling an injury. We haven't heard anything, but just the continuous sidearm motion just confused me. It makes me think maybe there's something going on with his shoulder to where you don't want to do your normal motion, your normal follow through, and it's less of a pain and stress on the shoulder if you do that sidearm motion. So, not necessarily to excuse his performance, but just trying to understand how that took place and why he had the game he had. But also credit to the defense he went up against too, because Ohio State's defense is good. Granted, they are replacing a lot of guys, but there's still a team full of 4-stars and 5-stars, and those guys were ready to make a name for themselves. So they played great football. But this has to get fixed quickly, Kory. Arch can't continue to play like this. If he plays like this, Texas won't make the playoffs. Not in this SEC.
Not at all. Not at all. And I think that's definitely going to be something that I don't think I know. It's definitely going to be something that Steve Sarkisian is going to be asked about within the Texas media. I'm around this area, Chris. These media guys don't play about the Longhorns. Questions need to be answered, and answered quickly, soon. in a hurry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
About how this team is feeling, how Arch Manning is feeling in terms of confidence in leading this team at the quarterback position. Um, they need locker room leaders, of course, to get back to where they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
They were a couple players away from going to a national championship until the team that beat them on Saturday said no, and
Mm-hmm.
here we are again. In a big moment, Sark isn't getting it done, and I've heard a lot of people talk about, Sark having these, weird moments against stifling defenses. And look, I'm gonna eat my crow and talk about Ohio State. This defense played lights out. They definitely confused Arch Manning through that whole game, and they were after him. So I think we talk about Arch Manning in terms of his play. We do have to wonder about Steve Sarkisian in these big moments. How can he get over the hump as well when teams are throwing defensive packages at him, and he himself is kind of looking out of whack in terms of coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he definitely has to find his groove and get this fixed and fixed very quickly.
Yeah.
Um, because you said he said himself they have been building towards this season.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been building towards this season, this is the kind of way performance you have and how the team plays. So it's going to be a tough year because the defense can only do so much. The defense played very good football. You hold Jeremiah Smith and Cardell Tate and these guys to just 14 points, but you definitely need much more out of your offense, especially when you are an offensive guy like Sark is. So we'll see. We'll keep our eyes peeled on how things progress as the season continues. Um, but this season has gotten a lot more interesting in the viewpoint, in the sense of what will Texas' ultimate record be? It's not just the fact they lost to Ohio State; it's the way they look in this loss. You look like Tennessee did in the SEC play last year,
And that's
where
not
it's
good.
like where you maybe make the playoff, but you ain't gonna do nothing
Yeah.
because you're not gonna do anything if this is how your quarterback's playing. You'll be lucky to make the playoff. So yeah, we'll see how things transpire.
Indeed, and indeed we will. Yeah, this is a long season, folks, and hey, you gotta take it one game at a time. I know that sounds very cliche. Coaches are definitely telling these guys that, but a little bit of it is the truth. So, can things get fixed? For the most part, they can. And maybe there is a lot of parity going on. Maybe there is some things going on with Arch. In terms of him able to physically compete in the way that he wants to. But time will tell. All these things will get figured out because they have to get figured out at some point, Chris, as we get through the college football season. So I'm eager to see what happens in the future.